Good morning. Hi, this is Eric Lehman. Welcome to day 3 of Morning Has Broken and I Don't Want to Fix It. I'm so happy to be on this journey with you. I'm so excited to share what's happening in this unfolding, and I'm so grateful for all the positive reinforcement that has already come in just 2 days around sending this out. I'm just really feeling present to all that is and all that um, that that gets to happen in this world, and I'm very grateful for all of it. And I think that was what started my morning, is just true gratitude. Gratitude for the tea that I still haven't finished, and um, the pumpkin pie. It was great. It's early in my sense of when pumpkin pie should be happening. That said, it was enjoyable, and it hit the spot. I normally don't have pumpkin pie cravings until late September, uh, but here I was, just in heaven, just eating a few pieces of pie and watching my kids eat it as well. And it was a great breakfast, so that's what that was. Had a wonderful time with Hafiz today, and I guess today was really cool because I got to read whatever the poem was with my kids. And when I read with my kids, I sometimes read really serious stuff in a really not so serious way. So today was like that, where I read a poem called God's Bucket to my kids, with my kids, and I read it in Elmo's voice. So I will spare you that procedure, and just read you God's Bucket in my own voice. Um, pretty awesome way to start the day. Pretty grateful for Hafiz's perspective on what makes this world go. And so here goes, God's Bucket. If this world was not held in God's bucket, how could an ocean stand upside down on its head and never lose a drop? If your life was not contained in God's cup, how could you be so brave and laugh, dance in the face of death? Hafiz, there's a private chamber in the soul that knows a great secret of which no tongue can speak. Your existence, my dear, O love, my dear, has been sealed and marked, too sacred, by the beloved, to ever end. Indeed, God has written 1,000 promises all over your heart that say life, life, life is far too sacred to ever end. Ah, great way to start the day. Great way to know that that all we are is now and forever. There really is no death in this life. There's no death. Um, there's transition. There's a lot of different things, but I believe that there's just um, there's just continuation of the spirit. And so while we're on this physical plane, it's important to experience things this way. And so it was great to awaken to the day with God's Bucket, and just, you know, I don't know about you, but I do. I mean, we hear about gravity, we hear about all these different things, and yet there's a childlike curiosity that can only be answered, in awe of miracles that say, why does the water stay on the earth? How does that happen? Why aren't we, why during this rotation, why aren't we just like losing a whole bunch of the water at some point when it tips over an edge? Um, and how is it that we spin at exactly the right speed in order to maintain everything necessary to keep all the water on this earth so that life can be sustained? I think that's the key, is that life is sustained, it's sustainable, and we've actually tried to put a whole bunch in the way of sustaining life, and yet it still persists. So I'm pretty amazed at the permanence of this impermanent thing called life, and it's just yet another duality. I think a lot of this journey, what I've learned about, we're living tremendous duality, and I think duality is it's also oneness, because and it's really interesting that the segue is going towards talking about duality, because when I read the verse of the Tao Te Ching this morning during my meditation, it was all about living in obscurity, and there was a whole bunch of dualities where basically, there was an excerpt that was translated from The Way of Life according to Lao Tzu, which goes like this: He who feels punctured must once have been a bubble. He who feels unarmed must have carried arms. He who feels deprived must have had privilege. And I believe this is true. I think, that's another duality. Whenever we're feeling tired, it's because we know what it's like to feel rested. And whenever we're feeling abandoned, it's because we know what it's like to feel connected and taken care of and supported. There are all these different dualities, and they're all so amazing. They're all part of us, and they're all part of the oneness. So, in order to know oneness, we actually get to know contrast, and I think it's a great duality. Call it even hypocrisy. I think there are so many ways where, in an effort, in the thought that we try to walk our talk, that sometimes we stray from even our own promises to ourselves. And I think that's what this verse also was about, from Wayne Dyer's Change Your Thoughts, Change Your Life, Living in Obscurity, which is, it's really about, not comparing yourself to anyone else. And I think obscurity is a duality as well, because I think when you live in that much obscurity, when you don't compare yourself to anyone else, that's when you can see your own greatness. And that's when it doesn't matter when anyone else thinks. That's when it matters what you know, and the truth that is within you. And I think that's another duality, another hypocrisy, is that, I'm a speaker, and I'm an author, and I want some of the truth that I think that I've been in touch with to share it. I just want to share this truth, and in some ways that's not wanting to live in obscurity. I think it took a lot of stillness and a lot of letting go. I try to let go of most things before I create an attachment to them, and I think that's what this verse was also about, and I'll read some of it. So, should you want to contain something, you must deliberately let it expand. Should you want to weaken something, you must deliberately let it grow strong. Should you want to eliminate something, you must deliberately allow it to flourish. Should you want to take something away, you must deliberately grant it access. The lesson here is called the wisdom of obscurity. The gentle outlast the strong, the obscure outlast the obvious. Fish cannot leave deep waters, and a country's weapons should not be displayed. That's what this life right now for me is like, is, as soon as I find myself getting attached to any one thing, I get to let it go. I get to just throw it back into the water and just see what happens. And if it comes back, as it comes back, that's when I get to see it again. And so with that, I let you all go until another day, until tomorrow, and we'll take it from there. I love you all. Bye.